Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Protoss bringing you another Cosmonarchy cast, and today we're actually going to be looking at AUD 64 versus Neblime. I know we were just in the middle of an AUD versus Krankendow TVZ set, but part 2 of that series is not going to come until Saturday, so publishing part 3 before part 2, it just doesn't make chronological sense. So, let's take a look at this match instead. AUD 64 is our Pumpkin Terran in the top left. And down in the bottom right, it looks like we've got either Vine Green or Dark Green, and I'm going to say Dark Green Protoss, and that is Neblime in the bottom right. Oh, Biddy B gave Neblime some advice. I can't wait to see what it is. And that is interesting. So we already have some chat messages between these two. Aspirants are noobs. I think that might be Smarty Cakes. I don't know. Or it could be Grass. There's so many people. That's the beautiful thing about having so many people in our community, in our Discord server, is that Cosmonarchy has so many homies that I don't know who's who when they all put out their meme names. In fact, we have, okay, it's just that. I was thinking that, you know, Krankendow is also someone who may or may not have been watching, but maybe he was watching via stream or something. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, this seems like Grass to me. All right, so overall, we have some interesting situations going on with this patch because this version is the version with the new Protoss robotics units. I can't promise that Neblime makes them in this match. I don't know if he does. We'll find out. But I do think that one thing that is indubitably going to occur in more Protoss versus Terran matches, as we get a little bit of scribe harassment here, is that overall, the thing I'm expecting to happen is that the Protoss will make Ardent, and Ardent will give way to a Clarion, because now that unit is available from the Ardent instead. And, you know, the Acantor being new, maybe the Architect being in the Unitary Union, we might actually end up seeing the Unitary Union just for Architects. They are pretty good. They have 12 weapon range now, so it's phenomenal as an artillery unit, but again, only shoots ground units. Keep that in mind. Looks like Neblime will be hiding behind the geysers in the natural. This is a map by Biddy B, who is a very active mapper in our community. He's made so many damn maps. Looks like AUD will be moving out with his vultures. They were discussing how to deal with mines as Protoss earlier. And obviously the embassy does give you witness. It's a pretty cheap structure these days, but still might be something that Neblime doesn't really want to deal with. He did make one Legionnaire and kind of park it over there. His Hierophant is out there. I don't think this Vulture is going to be able to do too much because the Hierophant on the ramp is going to prevent it from getting too much action. And as a Hierophant, you can't just go ahead and minesweep. That being said, the Legionnaire comes around, and maybe if those two units had linked up, that could have been a dead Vulture already. Oh, it looks like he's actually going to try to take this fight, which is bold. There's only one more mine left that Vulture has. Oh, both of them get stunned by the Legionnaire mine drag. That is going to be a wrap for the Vulture that had a lobotomy mine in it. But I think that this Vulture is fine because that mine will guarantee its escape, and two more are on the way. It has been a two-folk push with AUD switching into Goliaths right now. Wants that sort of ability to just absolutely wreck face in the early stages of the game, but we've got a Draken out. Oh, cycling the Hierophant back is going to allow that one Vulture to escape. Looks like a bunch of mines. A couple of them are actually stuck. Yeah, it looks like he stacked a couple of them over there. A little bit of an unfortunate mistake there because there's not really much of a value in it, unless maybe your enemy picks one of them off thinking that they got another one, and then, you know, there's another one right underneath it. Suddenly, mineception. All right, well, it's going Goliaths, and then it's going Cyclops, and I think what AUD is going to be doing is either saving up for another round of Goliaths or going into the very important expansion. So the Scribe comes in, sees two folk, sees Cyclops pop out. I think Neblime will know this is definitely a more committed early game. He's going to expand his production for now, I think. I don't know if he wants to actually go for a Nexus here. It could end up being a bad move. He's getting a double Drac. So far, the production throughput is about the same for both the Protoss and the Terran. The problem being that the Protoss have an issue with their production speeds without having access to a Crucible, right? They produce units slower, but, well, we'll have to find out. I mean, their structures are a bit cheaper also than the Fulcrum. Now there's the first casualty on the Protoss side of things, the Legionnaire and a Dracoden going down. This is a very deadly push. Admittedly, the Hierophant is helping out quite a bit to slow the DPS of the Goliath. The Nexus did end up getting committed into. Now he's got to fall back, using flash shielding to his fullest effect. Those units taking quite a bit to bring down. AUD now losing a lot of vitality on those Goliaths. That's going to be one dead. Remember, there's still a couple of mines sprinkled in here. You can, of course, go ahead and try to use the Scribe to play Minesweeper, as the Nexus is going to get committed on. That's not going to be sufficient. I don't think AUD can actually force this fight. A lot of his units are super bruised, and he's already lost one of the Goliaths. Make that two! Both of them going up in a blaze of glory. The one Ecclesiast, not really going to offer too much there. The last mine will be swept. And you know what? He lost a Scribe, he lost a couple of units here and there, but Neblime held very well, and his Nexus is up sooner. I mean, the Ministry's finishing up at about the same time, but still, having that parity, definitely good for our Protoss player. And look at that, the Ardent Authority already on the way. We might see a Clarion after all. Certainly a potential Acantor push. Now, Acantors are better than they were on the previous update. Acantors now provide you with a projectile that will always go to max range, and they got a +1 weapon range buff, as they are the only artillery or of its kind siege engine that you can provide the Protoss at that tier now. It's not like you share between Architect and Acantor, since the Architect was moved to tier 3. So I like what I'm seeing as far as that's concerned. I think that'll be an interesting situation. Now, the Vultures are going to go ahead and continue providing a little bit of map control. The vision created by these mines is mostly to help with spotting drops, although obviously you could still hug the extremis of the map. Well, I'm seeing a lot of mech units. Obviously, 4 Folk coming up here and a Stockade for probably a Vestry. And there it is. Clarion on the way here from the Ardent Authority. Very nice. Well, the embassy is nearly complete, so he'll have Clarion and Witness. At least he'll have access to it. Not really so many areas of this map that you might want to go for artisans. Actually, that's one of the things that these mines will provide a little bit of vision for, believe it or not, is artisans harvesting from the side base. This is pretty nice, pretty nifty. It's going to be a lattice follow-up. It is going to be a Witness. I don't know if Neblime is aware that the Clarion provides detection. He might not be aware of that. So the Clarion does act as a detector. It will help him sweep the mines, but the Witness won't be shot down, right? The Witness is hidden, so that definitely will help out as well. He was already set up in a preemptive arc. I love that concave. Actually, Ayu just walked into his own projectiles from the Cyclops, so he splashed his army a little bit. Clarion helping out. Oh, the Goliaths almost sniped it down. That would have been pretty bad for our Protoss player, but he's fallen back. He hasn't actually lost too many units, and Ecclesiast goes down. A couple of the frontliners. Now these Striders starting to feel the pain. Here comes the Clarion with its regenerated shields, and look at that. The Goliath gets sniped down. There's not really going to be that much that can damage it. It's just a couple of Cyclops that's not going to be sufficient to finish the job. And okay, a lot of workers did end up going down, actually, but the most crucial solution there, or the most crucial impact there, I think, is that the... Oh yeah, look at that. He's going to realize, oh yeah, Clarion. It gives me detection. Great, nice. Very nice. All right, so there you have it. We are going to be seeing everything just fine. I don't know if the Witness died, but yeah, I was going to say the Clarion didn't die. That's a very expensive unit. 150 gas, I think. Not nothing. I think it might have the same resource cost as the Covenant. And I was talking about that in a previous cast, right? The Covenant is 150 gas, 50 minerals. All right, the first of the perhaps many Palladiums we're going to see in this game has been constructed. Ayu going up to 6 Folk on 2 base, capping his gas. He actually does not have that great of a gas income. In fact, his worker count is worse than his Protoss opponent, despite the fact that he has gotten some kills in to the natural worker line. This is a very concentrated sort of combination of Protoss units. Oh, Golems coming in as well. Definitely going to be a good use. I think anytime you can get shield restoration effects and you have Clarions, that's going to be a good combo. So for those who don't know, Clarions provide you with shield link, basically. Phase link is what the ability is called. And phase link is essentially an option that provides you with this constant shield healing, right? And the reason why that's important is, or not shield healing, it's like when the Draken here takes damage, every unit linked by the Clarions will also sustain damage. You can see the damage there popping, the shield overlays popping. So because of that, it's much harder it's like half the damage is dealt to the primary target and the rest of it is distributed. It makes those damage, it like makes flash shielding more powerful. It makes damage just less sticky in that respect. This Nexus was misplaced, so if Neblime has to cancel it, it will actually be a hidden benefit. And a Unitary Union is on the way in Neblime's main base as we have this Strider push coming on in. Not so many Vultures ended up with mines at the end of the day. Looks like the Nexus will indeed be canceled or at least felled. I'm not quite sure what happened there. One of the Clarions has gone down. Well, the Goliaths are still not targeting it down. Ample opportunity there, but they wanted to try to tear down the Golem front line, taking a very, very long time to do so. The Protoss army definitely multiplying some of its power there. And sure, the third base was shut down. Mission accomplished there from Ayu. But remember, he is on a bit of a timer. He's on 6 Folk. He's on 1 Stockade. He might end up adding a little bit more. Witness still covering to see if there's a third base in the upper corner of the map. Not the case. This mine will still cover vision for when that Nexus goes down. So, and there it is, Unitary Union adding a Architect. So we will have an Architect out. More Clarions coming from the Arden Authority nonstop. Would love a Crucible over here. It's just going to be triple lattice. It's very hypnotizing to watch this, by the way. Hope you guys appreciate that. 5 Nations, shout out once again with their... That was a Cylon structure graphic. If anybody who knows about 5 Nations will recognize that. So, yeah, these mines are not long for this world with the Witness spotting them. The cute moves from Aoud. He's going to have to shuffle his defense over to cover his third base, which he is actually trying to take on location. A ballsy move. Perhaps an unnecessary risk. Another Unitary Union on the way as the first of our Architects is going to deploy. New Architect with 12 weapon range. Scribe going to be clearing that mine. Oh, only 1 mine left, it looks like. But, you know, there's more Vultures where that came from. Azella going to go ahead and run in just to see the full breadth of the army. You gotta watch out, though. I mean, if you deploy into one area, you park in one area, and then the Protoss just shuffles out a different direction, sometimes they have the more mobile force when you're playing mech. Let's see if that ends up being the case. Unfortunately for Aoud, he's not going to be able to come away with a free Clarion pick. He has brought a Madrigal to the fight. Oh, man, the Architect is there, and ooh! With cliff advantage, too? Don't say that. Don't tell me that. It's going to get so many splits on its projectile. Every 4 range traveled, the Architect will get a free hit on another unit nearby. A lot of the Clarions do end up getting softened up there, unfortunately, for Neblime. He is going to have to fall back. He doesn't really have much of a front line over here. Oh, no. Look at all those Clarions going up in smoke. Only 1 Architect. It's still doing a lot of damage in the back there, but I feel like it's just a little bit too much. That being said, this is still like a very, very, it's like a slap fight. There's not really that much damage here in the army. The Architect might end up being focused down. No, it's going to get jumped upon by an extra Architect in the back. Golems in the front, just mixing it up. All the Clarions are gone. Most of the Striders are gone as well. But that artillery, whew, it's just a little bit too powerful, I think, for Aoud to push forward, especially as the gateway rotation comes out. Yeah, you need to pack up and leave here, man. He's going to do just that. At least, you know, the Architects are going to be held to some degree at bay by they take a few more hits to kill with the tank armor from the Phalanx. But still, it's dealing a lot of damage. And, you know, Clarion Golem, it just takes so long to actually kill. Thankfully for Aoud 64, he is going to be able to snipe one of those Clarions. There's been a lot of dead gas there, if you think about it, right? Definitely need to see some gas capping from Neblime, but he's a little bit poor on the mineral front. He's actually depleted in his main base, such is his degree of saturation. The problem is Aoud seems to be moving in with such a low-tech army. I don't actually think it's enough to deal with what Neblime has right now. He's mixing in some lattice units as well, not just golems, but idols too. That feels a bit questionable. They bulk up a lot versus the phalanxes. I guess they might be better fighting units versus the vultures, though. The unarmored vulture, taking a little bit of extra damage from the idol. And there you go. With only 3 phalanxes left to his name, he's going to have to fall back for reinforcements. The Witness spotting the rest of the lobotomy mines. Another Clarion in production, as it looks like Neblime will be taking a 4th base, and that will be maintaining his economic advantage over Aoud, who seems to have cut workers quite a bit here, only making a little bit. Yeah, he's down to 48 workers. Like, it's not like he's been hit at any of his bases, right? We saw a little bit of a dance into the army protecting the 3rd. Oh, look at this. Actually using the Clarions to spread some of that impact damage from the Phalanx across the whole army. Of course, the more units affected by the Clarion, the less damage a primary target is going to receive. And with Phalanxes on the high ground, it was Architects to push them back. Really signaling, I think, when you're going to need to start thinking about higher tier tech levels as the Terran army with these empowered units out of a tier 3 robotics production structure. It is just pure Architect so far. There are 3 other units that are brand new, but so far Neblime is not making those. Instead, he's just going to continue trying to shove this mech army around with his Architect count being so high. Definitely a win condition, I think, for the current army. Architects themselves don't have stellar positions as far as their ability to do sustained damage, and their durability leaves a lot to be desired as well. You can see the Phalanxes, they dish out a good amount of damage. Can't be dissuaded from that. But so far, Neblime does seem to have the map control. Oh, a couple of these parked shamans are going to have to be picked apart. Oh, look at that. A witness ended up getting picked as well. So I guess trades on both sides. One of the Shaman's Excars. We do have the 3 o'clock position taken, and tier 2 is complete for Aoud. He's not out of the game. He's added a 3rd Palladium as well, making a 7th Fulcrum, an 8th Fulcrum. So he has a lot of mech units and a lot of mech production. It's almost exclusively that. I mean, if you count the Shaman as a mech unit as well, it comes out of the Stockade Vestry, but still, he's going to try to dive for it. I don't like his Goliath count for going up against this, and I do feel like with no clerics as well to try to bolster that position, man, I don't know. I feel like this is not a bad move necessarily in isolation, but the problem is he doesn't kill any architects. Even that last one ends up getting away. He wasn't really able to like shove the Striders out and clear the front line fast enough to use his sieged phalanxes, which at this point he's actually hemorrhaging off of a rally point. Needs to maybe isolate where his phalanxes are actually going to be. We do have one of the new units, a Unar, coming in, but is it going to be necessary? Neblime coming in with a big flank of Dracodons, and yeah, Aoud, he goes up to that 3-base timing. He gets his tier 2 up, but I feel like that last army scuffle that he had, it was just a little bit of a toss, you know? Not a whole throw, not a wholesale, because he was a little bit behind, obviously, when it comes to worker count, lower than Neblime. His overall macro, I feel like Neblime might actually be the best macro player that we have that is actively playing the game right now. I would give a shout out to Hit Him Up as well. He hasn't been super active lately, but you know, as of the players who we've casted recently, Neblime's macro might be up there, top Ramens. Aoud, I feel like he is pretty good at that usually, so maybe a little bit uncharacteristic. Our champion of Acropolis number 2, looking mortal in this versus Protoss matchup. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast. We have another one coming at you. It'll be Aoud versus Krankendow Part 3, where I hope I will also be able to tell you guys, hey, check out Aoud versus Krankendow Part 2 over on LAX Gaming's channel. Shout out to that man again. And we will see you guys very soon. Remember, you can donate on Coffee if you want to support project development, and you can subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to catch more of these daily casts. Peace!